Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Friday webinar. I'm glad to see so many of you, have logged in, and it's nice to see all of you again. So today we are taking a very, interesting and very not often discussed topic, and mainly because as a surgeon, I've had several frustrations when I do dressing on a dressing trolley. So we've been thinking of how we could actually, get the nurses organized so that the dressing for both for the person doing the dressing, which is a surgeon, and for the nurses is a just a smooth ride. Okay, so that is the intent of this webinar. Next slide. Yeah, I this particular topic, I thought Stella would be the best person to do it because she's got more than 18 years of clinical experience, and she's been there, and she will tell her how it can be done, and I will actually join in the discussion part of from the surgeon's point of view and what we expect, so that it will be a complete total picture that you will get. So without any further delay, I will go to the next slide. Next slide, please. So just to give an introduction, dressing trolley is a mobile workstation. So you can't carry all the things and go into a patient room. So we need some sort of a trolley to take these equipment into the patient care area. So we have to organize the wound care and dressing supplies, and also for minor procedures. But what I have seen over the years, I have seen the several trolleys have evolved over the years. For example, the crash cart, which was there when I was younger, has completely transformed, and we have standardized the crash cart, and everywhere, NABH also insists that the crash cart arrangement should be there. And similarly, if you look at the central line cart in the ICUs, they also have undergone a major change. But unfortunately, the dressing trolley has not changed at all. What was there in the 1970s and 80s is still there and causing a lot of frustration both for the nurses side as well as the surgeon or the who was doing the dressing. Okay, so that's why we thought let's start a discussion on how we could actually make this better. And I also was speaking to our stores person, and he was telling actually there are some manufacturers who are interested in fine tuning this dressing trolley. So I think this is a right time to talk about this. So dressing trolley arrangement really matters because one, it saves time, it reduces the stress, both as I said on the surgeon side and also the nurse's side, enhances patient safety, and ensures aseptic technique. These are the some of the major advantages I wanted to point out. And there are a lot of challenges. I think all of us. Next slide, please. We will discuss about it. So what we're going to do today is I've already spoken about the importance of proper dressing trolley arrangement. And then Stella will take you through the setting up of the dressing trolley, how to do it so that it is in an efficient manner, some common mistakes and how to avoid them, and how to troubleshoot. And after that, we have some case scenarios which we will discuss. So that's the agenda for today.
So we're jumping into the topic. So when you hear like you have to ready for a dressing, don't go and jump in and get all the things organized first. First you pick the right trolley. That is very important. Why I say the right trolley is very important, because small trolley for the major dressing, you will have lot of items to fix it in. Then automatically you're going to have a compromise in contaminated and clean, everything will be going to be mixed up, because the small trolley will not be sufficient for the major dressing. You will have a lot of dressing materials. And so what we say, pick the right trolley design. So we have a good trolley designs for you. So because it depends on the management, what kind of dressing trolley you're going to fix into your place. So you can have a look into the dressing, what are all available. Like you have like two-tier dressing trolley. You can see this is like from the olden days we were using. And mostly like no two shelf like storing dressing material, and you will have mainly this you would have seen in still in many hospitals in OPDs they have it. So you can in the first shelf they have a basin stand with a basin, and in the second shelf they have a the bin with a biomedical waste cover. They'll be putting it up. And the thing you have three-tier dressing trolley. Usually you can see this kind of trolley in many hospitals in the emergency department. It is actually high use area. Many patients will be coming. You don't know how, like no the count of the patient who are walking into your hospital or the department. So that is ER actually is the phase of hospital. You doesn't know how many patients are going to come in today. It is not planned. So for them this three-tier will be suitable because you will have more storage space and you can be get organized within that. And other type is like this cupboard is like the trolley with the drawers. Even you can have lock or without lock. For example, with lock or without lock, no, it will be in the nurse's station lying, like you can store the patient medication inside that. Usually I'll give an idea where we will store the patient medication. We will store the patient medication at the patient bedside. How far you will know, or how far you can get the liable answer from the patient whether you have taken the medication, whether they have taken the medication on their own or you have given the medicine. Before you could give the medicine, if they would have taken, you wouldn't know. But instead you can utilize this kind of trolley where you can store all the patient medication inside this cupboard with a ziploc cover, each patient label, so that every time when you administer medication to patient room to room, you can just drag this trolley to patient room to room. You can give the patient medication to them. So that's how you ensure the medication safety, and also the one purpose trolley, and you can take everywhere. You have all the patient medication. You don't have to run up and down. And then also you can use the shelf to store the sterile packs. Will not be contact with the atmosphere. It is closed and locked inside the cupboard. So all the sterile pack will be very secured with not getting any dust materials on top of it. Of course, it is a closed pack, but still we doesn't want to expose into the. We'll be locking it in the box. For example, in operation theater, if anybody is there in the crowd, you'll be keeping in the box with the container. But in the ward, how many boxes we can keep it? No, for that kind of places, you can utilize this kind of trolley. And some of the quite good examples of trolley is like you can see all this trolley with the bins and waste disposal system. Because dressing, of course, you will have the already the dressing which is old dressing we are going to remove, and we have to discard in the biomedical waste. And then contaminated materials will be there. And ideally for infection control in the surgical area, you remove the dressing, you walk from A wing to B wing, or like for example I'm saying you will walk from here to there, taking all over the contaminated dressing material. You're going to contaminate all the places, all the environment, everywhere. Instead, to avoid such things, you can attach your trolley with this kind of waste disposable concept. Like I would name preferably as the multi-purpose trolley. So you go for the dressing. With the dressing, you have the biomedical waste system with the dressing attached, design like this. You do the dressing, all the green waste into the green, and the plastic waste into the red, and the contaminated in the yellow. So what is actually, it is actually saves your time. You come back to the nurse's station, you leave that, the housekeeping will take care of taking that and putting into the larger bins. And again, other thing is like with the bins, if you use that, other purpose is like you use the needle, you will have the sharp content inside that, you will discard that sharp also. So needle stick injury is going to be prevented. So this is like with the biomedical waste disposal system. So, okay, we have picked up the right trolley now anyways. Picking up the right trolley is the first priority thing. Second thing is like you have to review the wound type. What is that wound actually? How it is? And what the dressing need. For example, it might be a burns wound or it may be the surgical wound. It depends on the dressing needs based on the wound. And of course, you have the standard SOP in all the hospitals. But still, the surgery or the dressing material would change according to the doctor to doctor. So you should confirm with the doctor what kind of special requirement he has for the dressing. So to make the assisting dressing even more smoother. So for wound type and dressing, I would say like identify the type of the wound. what patient it is, how the wound it is, and you should know, read back the case sheet, how it was in the last dressing, and check the doctor's preference. You have to check, is the doctor, is that okay, you use the gauze, or you use even the Bactigras sometimes. No, it depends, again it depends on the wound. For burns wound they'll use the Bactigras, and if it is a normal wound they're going to dress it up. Some might have the ointment, or like for example mupirocin ointment, and some might be like just it is very dry. So the doctor will know what has to be done for the patient. So you have to equally check with the doctor preference and select appropriate dressing, and you have to set up in the right trolley which you have chosen. And you should have an emergency dressing setup. Keep emergency supplies label and accessible. So you have to train nurses in emergency dressing protocol. For example, you have gone already inside the patient room, all trolley is picked up rightly, you have arranged everything according to the doctor. But next comes the unexpected things we wouldn't have predicted. The moment you open the dressing, last time there wouldn't be any bleeding, but this time there's going to be heavy bleeding. So you all nurses have to be trained. You have an emergency dressing setup where you will have, for heavy bleeding, what you're going to have, what kind of dressings you're going to have. For infected wounds, there were no discharge last time. This time you have no pus collections or something. What kind of dressing you're going to have in your emergency trolley? Deep wound, what gonna? So it again depends on your management, what kind of dressing you're using. But this is a standard way for heavy bleeding, infected wound, what you're going to have in the emergency, because dressing is always unpredictable. But unpredictable, for that even we have to be very prepared with the emergency dressing setup. And note, this emergency no dressing include options for bleeding, infection, deep wound. Why we are stressing in that? Because for regular dressing, you should not run to the emergency trolley getting up the gauze piece from there, or getting up the no dressings from there. Because for normal dressing, you should have already picked up the trolley, set up the instrument. Don't go to the emergency trolley to take the standby items. This is for only unpredictable things: infection, bleeding, and deep wounds. Only for those things you have to approach the emergency dressing setup. And once all done, you have to ensure all necessary items are gathered and logically arranged. I think so. Everybody have to be set up in arranging the things. First comes first, the second comes, the least comes the last. Okay, so you have to arrange things accordingly. Frequently used items should be in the top shelf, because on and off you're bending down and then you're going across, going to the middle shelf, third shelf, and you're searching for things at the last. Take the top one, and no, I think you all can imagine what I'm talking about. So instead you arrange in a sequence way so that you can assist immediately to the doctor without any delay. So here is an image for you all. I think you just take a moment to look at this picture, and you can spot the mistake what is there in the image. And if anybody from the crowd is interested, you can say what is actually wrong with this image. It would be great if somebody from the audience could answer to this.
You can, as usual, you can put it in the comments, or
Yes.
raise your hand, and you can unmute and talk. We will read from the comments, but if you want to really answer, just raise your hand. You can see the raise hand below in your.
Yeah, Vasanta has raised the hand. Can you please unmute yourself, and you can spot the mistake and say what is actually what is wrong with this? Vasanta? Even you can leave your comment in the chat box. Yeah, Simmer from NICU. Yes. So there is a comment saying that
It's
they have
not a
told it is
dressing
very
trolley.
messy.
It's not a dressing trolley, it's a dustbin.
Yeah, it is not dustbin, and it is messy.
I
Of
like that.
course, yeah, of course, it's like a dustbin more like, and it is messy, and it's like a mini storeroom. Mini storeroom. If we enter inside that, we will get lost into that storeroom, I guess so. And no order, just dumped. Of course, you're right, so right. And not properly maintained. All the things are mixed. It's mixed all, difficult to search anything. Yes. Yes. We can't find anything. So this is the common answer from everybody. You all are right. Thank you for all your responses. Thank you for all your responses. It's really a good comment. So one comment is very highlighting. It looks like a dustbin. Yes, because this is actually a disaster in the image. Everything is mixed up. Anyone comes in, you wanted to pick up something from here, you will get lost into this place. You will not be able to find out anything. So this is the very wrong image of how it is not supposed to be. So how it's supposed to be? This is the example. We are collaborating this dressing trolley arrangement using the 5S. Okay, I think I'll give a quick introduction about 5S. Not much deep into that. Many of them would know, or some of them will be like very new to this 5S. Like the sound, the word. Because 5S is a very huge thing. I don't want to deep dive into it. 5S, it is actually like you have to sort and set in order, and then you will like shine, standardize, sustain. I'll just give example for it. Sorting it out is like what is required for the dressing, what is not required for the dressing. You should know depending on the wound, and you know what is required for your dressing. So you have sorted that. Now you have to set in order. So you have to arrange accordingly. First, doctor will ask what? Doctor will ask hand rub and glove, and then know what solution he is going to clean the wound, or what he is going to use for the wash. So accordingly you have to set in order, because sorting alone is not enough. No, you have to set that materials in order. I have told you already, you have to arrange your things logically. The first comes first and the least comes the last. And then you have set in order, you have to shine. Shine is like, can you arrange in the trolley which is very messy or very dirty? That doesn't gives a good appearance of, no, even it is a clean dressing, the trolley and the setup should look very clean and tidy. If it is very dirty, it is our responsibility, should clean it up and keep it ready, everything in arranged way. So as for we have mentioned about sort, you have segregized and set in order, and then you have shine, you have cleaned it, and then standardize. Standardize is something like you will fixed, you will have a SOP, you will have a no, for example, you will have a protocol. And standardize, for me, for a great example to you all, I'll say, if in the 7th floor ward they are maintaining the dressing trolley like this, till the ground floor the ward, the dressing trolley must be like this. Wherever you go work, the dressing trolley should be the same. It should not be different, so that everybody will have a standard way of practice. And then sustain. Every day you have to check up, and then you have to arrange according the way to sustain it up. Not only at the time of dressing you do all this sort, set in order and arrange everything together. If procedure is not there also, you keep all the necessary items in the dressing tray which is required for all the dressings for the common wise. So that's how you will sustain the practice. This is about 5S. It's a quick introduction. It is actually very huge. When you collaborate with your healthcare system, you will see magic in your workplace. So might be no, depending on the audience request, we can do in the future. So quickly you can go through this image, how it arranged. Actually this is like sorted out and then labeled everywhere. You can look into this image how it is labeled, and here in this image how it is arranged actually. For example, if the betadine is missed in the trolley, anybody who is coming taking the trolley, it is clearly known as it is arranged nicely, betadine is missed, somebody has taken, so it has to be replaced, and then we have to take inside the patient room. If it is entirely together, no, even though it is arranged properly or together it is arranged in a place, we cannot find it of betadine. If it is a group, no, many things are there. So this is like the space is empty, then the things are missing. So everything has its own place. So that's how this concept works. And organize the trolley. So as I have said, top shelf, always the sterile dressing material goes, because it's so sterile, you cannot leave it in the ground shelf, which is very near to the ground. Again, it's going to get contaminated and the dust particle might accumulate. And then middle shelf, the cleaning solutions, scissors and forceps should be there. because once the clinic solution work is done, it will be into the middle shelf. No more, you will not be requiring the clinic solutions. So that is why we are keeping it in the middle priority. And in the bottom shelf, waste disposable bags. Of course, it's contaminated, and you're going to have all the waste disposable bag at the down, and gloves and PPE. At the beginning, you will wear it, and then no, in between, if it is required, actually you will take it up. So that's why we are arranging them into the bottom shelf. The top shelf, all the dressing material, everything, things goes on and off, the surgeon or the doctor will be asking you frequently, so it has to be in the top shelf for the easy access. And prepare by disinfecting the trolley surface and keeping surface. I told you the shine is very important. Before setting up the trolley, it should be like disinfected, and it should be neat and clean to it is ready for the procedure now. And keeping separate sterile pack and tray in reserved area. So this is a video which shows good practice of trolley for IV infusion. So please everyone look into this carefully. So he is wearing the PPE. He's going to clean the trolley. He's cleaning from the top, from the far part to the nearest part. And that too in the zigzag manner. And he has covered all the 4 corners. Yes. Discard it. And wait for 3 minutes. That is for drying time. And then take the appropriate tray, and again you have to clean the tray. You visibly see the dirt or you don't see the dirt, you have to clean the tray. For all the patients, for individual, you have to clean and you have to set up that. Same way you have cleaned inside the tray and outside the tray 4 corners. And then at the bottom, zigzag manner. And he has removed the PPE. He performs the hand hygiene. Allow it to dry 3 minutes. And now he is arranging all the things based on the procedure, what he has to assist for. You can see the subtitle, what all he is arranging for the IV infusion. Yes. Ideally, this is to show how the trolley has to be prepared for any procedure. So aseptic technique compliance, like maintain a sterile field and keep all sterile items separate from non-sterile surfaces. That is very important. You cannot mix up both the things together when it comes to aseptic. And you have to handle dressings properly. You use sterile glove or the forceps to prevent contamination. Because if you have a tendency or you cannot grab the thing in a sterile way, then you can take a forceps and pick up the gauze from that sterile bin, and then you make use of it and dispose of waste immediately. That is important thing. You use everything, you cannot keep everything together into the kidney tray, because kidney tray will overfill and it will fall down, and all over the place it is going to be very messy. So discard it immediately into the proper biomedical things. And avoid touching the key parts, like do not touch dressing surfaces, sterile dressing surfaces inside the wrappers or hub of equipment. You have to be very vigilant when you are handling such things. No, the word vigilance is very important when it comes to healthcare department, because there are key parts. If you are touching inside, no, touching the sterile dressing surfaces, then who's going to get no harm? Obviously, the patient safety is going to get compromised. So you have to be very careful when you're doing all those things. And sterile versus clean field, you should know the key differences. Because sterile and clean, what is the major difference? Everybody has a confusion. If they are a buddy nurse, they'll have, of course, novice nurses will have a lot of doubts about this. So sterile field free of all the microorganisms. Clean field is free from visible dirt, but not sterile. It is not sterile, it is clean. Sterile is like free from all the microorganisms. It is like autoclaved and all the spores have been killed. And as used for sterile fields will be used for the surgical and invasive procedures for the major things, and for the clean is like for general patient care, routine care, and which doesn't comes under non-invasive. And for the sterile you will be using the sterile gloves, of course, and for the non you will use the clean and the you call as non-sterile glove or as a nitrate glove. And items, what all you recommend for the sterile field? Only the sterile items. You cannot wash it with water or saline and use the scissors which is out. That is entirely going to cause infection to the patient. So you have to, it is must use only the sterile items. You will have autoclave, you would have ETO, or you have sterile items. That is like that. And clean field, you will have the clean and some sterile items. That depends upon, but it is separate. And you will follow the strict aseptic technique for the aseptic control. When it comes to clean field, you will have the standard hygiene measures. You will put hand rub and you will follow all the standard hygiene measures for the clean. And have access to local store of special dressings for quick retrieval. This is again an important thing. You have to store and manage the special dressings. Very rarely asked dressings, those are called as special dressings. So you have to organize. You have to store them in a strategical way. Keep frequently used dressings with easy reach. You have 3 shelves. Imagine there is a cupboard on wall mounted cupboard. You have 3 shelves. You have to organize all the frequently asked things in the ground shelf where you can access easily. Where in the top shelf you have to access as priority. And like on the top shelf, which you're going to use footstool and climb up and take those things, that should be on the higher shelf or very rarely used. So prioritize emergency use. Allocation section for like urgent and special use dressing where you're going to store. And label them. Not only storing them, you have to label them. You have to label like whether it is the absorbent dressing or what it is. It is antimicrobial or is a moisture retentive. Only few we have listed out. So you have to categorize what kind of dressing inside. And you have to restock. You have a checklist. Of course, you have to have a checklist for the dressing trolley even. You should check regularly because every day the patients or one or the other patients going to undergo for the dressing procedure. You have to check them regularly on the daily basis and then prevent the shortages. You cannot compromise in gauze count. If it is 10, the 10 gauze packs has to be there. You cannot imagine or assume only 8 is enough, that is okay. But stock is stock, you have to maintain that. And you have to remove the expired items. Because dressing trolley, we will check all the equipment checklist, all the buffer stock, everything. We will miss off the dressing trolley. But there again, you have the autoclaved items, you have the sterile gauze and all. You have to check the expiry items and you have to remove it. Track inventory, use a checklist or the log for stock management. That's what I was mentioning earlier. And you have to reserve a standby nurse to bring any unavailable. This is very unusual things. What happens is like, you will go for assisting the dressing, and if the doctor asks for something, immediately you will leave that place and you will run out to search. It is not like you're leaving him again, you're going to search something. But imagine what the doctor is going to do there alone and what the poor patient is going to lie there alone waiting for you. So what you can do is like you can arrange a standby nurse. It is called to efficient item retrieval. Morning while you take a assignment or while you take a handover, there is going to be a dressing procedure in your ward. You're going to assign a special nurse for that. Like one nurse will be assigned for the patient who is going to assist for the dressing, and other nurse will be the assigned nurse for that nurse per shift. Like she'll be like introduce the standby nurse to all the staff. wherever the dressing is going to happen in that ward, particular ward, at that time, if they require anything, their call bell is there in that room, or they have a call to that specific nurse, this standby nurse is going to attend to that, and she is going to retrieve the item which is actually required for the dressing, so that the nurse who is assisting for the dressing doesn't have to run outside. So use quick signals, because to call that no to the standby nurse, you don't have to move outside. You have lot of methods. You have the phone inside the patient room. You have the call bell inside the patient room. You can give hand signals even to your colleague if she is looking at you from outside the room, to retrieve the items without leaving the patient alone. And of course, the treating doctor alone. Establish the readiness by having separate packs and trays. Optimizing the dressing pack. You will have everything inside the dressing pack. Yes, you will have. What if in case something have fallen down? You should have no separate pack, something which can be utilized during the emergency. Preparation, like you can pre-prepare the packs. For example, you have two particular doctors coming for your ward, and they have different kind of expectations in instruments which is required for the dressing. You can name that tray as Dr. X and Dr. Y, so that you cannot leave out any dressing required for the doctor. You cannot take the particular doctor will use only the curved scissor, tenotomy, like that particular scissor names I'm saying, like, or some doctors will prefer for something. So you know what the doctor expectation. Only those two doctors are coming. You can even label the set as Dr. X and Dr. for Y when he is coming in. And label and store smartly. Mark each pack clearly for quick identification. You cannot label everything as dressing. You label as burns dressing, wound dressing, infected wound dressing. So accordingly, based on the patient flow, you should have a dressing tray which has a proper label and identification. Otherwise, what happens? For burns, you will take the normal tray, you will open everything contaminated. Again, you have to send it for autoclaving. That again is going to waste time for some other patient for the procedure. Usage. Limit use per procedure. Take only what is required. Avoid wastage. For the simple wound, you take a simple tray. Don't take a major wound dressing and you're going to take only artery, forceps and scissor. Imagine you have a bigger tray which has lot of instruments, which is again going to waste the time and waste the tray which you have opened. So for next case, any other patient is waiting for major dressing, you are going to send that tray for autoclaving unnecessarily. You're going to waste the time and you're going to extend the time for the patient. Maintain stock. It is like it should be a regular replenishment, because see, you have a set up a system. How often you're going to check a stock? Every day in the morning or each shift, or how? So you're going to set up based on the patient flow. You have regular dressing patients, and also it depends on not on the patient flow, also it depends on the department. If OPD, of course, each shift you have to check. If it in the ward, every day morning you're going to check, or recurrently you're having more patients inside your ward, you're going to check in each shift. And so far we were discussing about pick the right trolley and all. So we have formulated a mnemonic for it. It is called prepare. So when the moment you get the order from the doctor, or you get the handover from the other shift nurse saying there is a dressing, you can remember this mnemonic. So that prepare. So the P stands for pick the right trolley design. R stands for review wound type, dressing needs, and what is actually checked with the doctor for special requirement. E, ensure all the necessary items are gathered and logically arranged. Like frequently used items will be coming first. For example, I have said already. And P stands for prepare by disinfect the trolley. A stands for access a local store for special dressing. R stands for reserve a standby nurse to bring any unavailable items. Instead, you run and take the things, leaving the patient alone. E stands for establish readiness by having separate packs and trays. So I think everybody would have understood how, if in case from tomorrow you're going to listen to the moment you get the handover about dressing, you're going to remember this mnemonic prepare. So automatically you will know what you have to do. So here comes the interesting session, the case scenario. So I'll leave this case scenario. I'll explain this and leave it to doctor, because doctor would have faced many nurses who have assisted for the procedure, and he would have been in that disaster situation, missing critical supplies during a procedure. Here the scenario is like surgeon started a wound debridement procedure, but notices a sterile forceps and sutures are missing. It is for wound debridement. Of course, it is required actually. Doctor asks the nurse, where is the forceps? The nurse runs to fetch them while the doctor stands idle. So doctor is asking like, where did you go? I asked for the before started. He would have asked for the sutures and forceps already before starting the procedure. And nurse, the word assume. She assumed they were not needed since they were not on the standard setup list. So this is about the scenario. What went wrong and how could have been prevented, doctor? Please explain this.
Yeah,
I think you would be the better person.
you beautifully explained how to prepare, I think, with the acronym.
Yes.
Prepare. So I think if you do that, then these things won't happen. So the main problem which happens, I think, in the poll also it came out is missing critical items is the main challenge in addressing. I think the problem is two sides. The surgeon or the person who does the dressing also does not tell beforehand what are the actual equipments required,
Yes.
and you also don't ask from the nursing side. You also don't ask, so it happens on both sides. So if you need to not have the situation arising, which is embarrassing. For example, many times I have been stranded with a lady patient with the abdomen all open, and I missed something, and the nurse just runs out of the room, and then because the nurse also is a chaperone.
Yes.
So if the chaperone runs out of the room and the surgeon is left with a patient with his with the dressing, not the dressing, the dress open, then it becomes a problem. So this is something which you have to consider, and I think that is one reason I think Stella said about the runner nurse, or
Yes.
what did you call that?
Standby nurse.
Standby nurse. So in theater we call them runner nurse or circulating nurse. So the same concept. So in the ward, whenever you're doing the dressing, assign someone who would be, there to get the dressing for you. So if sometimes it is not possible because of lack of staff to have two nurses inside this room. It is too much of a luxury, right? But
Yes.
you might have nursing students, you might have other interns who are there. You could use them. So I think that is a brilliant solution of having somebody, but in absence of which it is mainly preparation. I think if you are prepared and if you ask the surgeon what is that you will be requiring, they will tell you. But most often, you assume it's there. The surgeon also assumes it will be there, and they may not actually tell. So there's no point arguing, at that point in time. But to have, somebody who can quickly get those items, uh, and the whole important thing is to not run from the room. I think
Yes.
we did a small skit, when we started this. There is one young surgeon who's actually, has attraction for a nurse.
Okay.
A nurse will come for dressing, and then the surgeon will ask, can I have the forceps, and she'll run out. And then she say, can I have the scissors? She'll run out again to get it. And then can I have the tape to do the bandage to do the bandaging? She'll again run out to get it. But still, the surgeon doesn't get frustrated because she's attracted towards the nurse. And finally, he'll say, nurse, can you marry me? And she'll run out again. So that's a small skit we put to highlight the situation. So if you
Yes.
don't want the nurse to run out, surgeons also should take the responsibility to list the items they need, and also the nurses be careful in finding out what the surgeon needs. I think that's what I'd like to say. And also I'll add one
So,
more thing, which I think we missed out, which we wanted to highlight,
yes,
is
sir.
use of cheatal forceps.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Of course. We all
So,
have
I mean,
forgotten
or
that.
the not use of cheatal forceps.
Yes.
So please, 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 no, I cannot say how many times, please do not use cheatal forceps, because if you take a sample of that solution and give to your microbiology lab where the cheatal forceps is in that solution, it will grow all the resistant microorganisms in the world and more. Okay, so always use separate packs for instruments Or if you don't have that, open a sterile instrument and then use that to pick the gauze or pick the instrument. So never use sterile forceps. The whole, what can I say, mechanism of putting gauze in a bin and then autoclaving and using the sterile forceps is gone. It's ancient practice. So
Yes.
you have separate packs, just 5 gauze in one pack. You can either do it in-house or it is available now commercially outside. So there should be separate packs of gauze, separate packs of G-pad, so that there is no need for you to use the sterile forceps. So I think I wanted to emphasize on that.
True, so true, sir.
So we'll wind up with the common mistakes. I think lack of preparation, then unhygienic practices, because of you will touch the wound and then the also touch the micropore or other things on the trolley. So this transmits infection to the next patient. Poor layout we already looked at, and I think the 5 years is
Yes.
a brilliant way to organize the dressing trolley. And then mixing sterile and non-sterile items. So always have a separate drawer for your sterile items. It's always better that way. And not checking expiry dates. Just like in cart, that's what I said in the crash cart. Everything is so organized. You're doing everything according to that. Why don't we introduce the same thing to the dressing trolley? So have a responsibility of one nurse going every week or every month to look at all the expiry dates, so that you don't have expired dressings or expired medicines, solutions in your dressing trolley. Next slide. Fine. I think I just wanted to summarize this very nice acronym. Prepare. So the right trolley design is important. And then review the wound type, the doctor type also, what they want,
Yes.
and the dressing need. And then ensure all necessary items are gathered and logically arranged. I think we talked about the 5 S's way of arranging. And then disinfect the trolley, keep the things in reserve. And very important to have this local store, just like you have high risk medication, emergency medications. You have a sub store, isn't it, in every ward? Similarly, you should have one for your dressing, so that if I ask for alginate dressing or some special dressing, I can't be waiting till you go to the pharmacy and get it. It should be available in the ward. And then a standby nurse is and reserve is a very good idea. And finally, having separate packs and trays for either see for an ICD tray or a minor dressing tray, minor suturing tray, like that you can have trays. So all this will help you to prepare the dressing trolley well. I think this is something which we can
Yes.
follow in every hospital. I think that brings us to the end of this webinar.
So thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye.